What is up, guys? Welcome back to the 25 days of Frismas. Today we're going to be doing just a simple in the bag video, also kind of bringing you through some molds that I'm trying out that might make the bag. Talk to you a little bit about how my bag might change heading into the next season, and just go over what's going on, because my bag changes a lot, mainly because I get sent a lot of Frisbees to try out. And so most of the time when I'm filming, what you guys might see, me throwing, really isn't what I would bag if I was going out to play a casual round, with no cameras or anything. Like the discs I would actually bag. Hello and welcome to the 25 Days of Frismas presented by Birdie Disc Golf Supply. Birdie hooked it up by supporting the next 25 videos. Head on over to their website, use code Frisbee Club to save yourself some money. They got Frisbee Club patches, they got Frisbees, as well as my favorite mid-range, the Color Glow Ultra. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let's start with the putters, because that is actually a big change. That is one thing that right now is not set. A lot of you guys know that I used to putt with the PA3. That's kind of been my main putter for quite some time, but I recently kind of made the switch. To what? Not totally sure yet. We got 3 putters up top here that we've been testing out kind of behind the scenes, and one of 3 will most likely be what we go with going into next season. The reason I switched away from the PA3 is it doesn't have much glide, which isn't necessarily the worst thing. A lot of the top pros putt with the PA3, but for me, I've always been a hard putter, and I want to dial it back. I want to begin to putt softer, so I think a putter with a little bit more glide will maybe give me, at least in my head, the idea of putt a little slower. It'll still get there, and you guys know I'm not the best putter on the world. That's no secret, and sometimes you just need a reset in your mind, and I think moving into next year, I just want kind of a fresh start, fresh set of putters, completely new disc, something I've never used prior. And so we'll get right into that. We got 3 sets of putters here. These might catch you by surprise, or maybe not. Maybe you saw it coming. The Streamline Pilot. It's a lower profile beaded putter, kind of a micro bead almost, very small bead. I would say it's almost like a PA3, but if you just kind of squished it down a little bit. So I was putting these for maybe the first couple weeks I was in Arizona. I don't think I ever talked about it, but if you saw me make the switch to kind of this all white putter with a Frisbee Club stamp, they weren't PA3s, they're pilots. And I really enjoyed this putter simply because it's nice and low profile, and it claims to have 5 glide. Now you might have saw the video where I started throwing the ohm. Unfortunately, I launched the ohm into Fountain Hills, so we no longer have the ohm. But I love the feel of it. I was told that the Pilot is the ohm, but not overmolded, so we picked up a pair, and we're liking these. That brings us to the next set. Wizards, Gateway Wizards, specifically these retro Wizards. So Gateway sent me a big old box of discs maybe 2 months ago now. You guys probably saw that video. And then they actually sent me another box of discs with pretty much every single putter or approach disc that they make. I haven't talked about that yet because I've kind of been testing them out behind the scenes, and I'm going to have some videos coming out on those later this month as well. This is a lower profile run of Wizard, nice stiff white plastic, decently tacky, kind of how I like it, similar to like I'd say these fall between a 300 and a 350G in like the PA3 Prodigy plastic, and I've really been enjoying these. And then last but not least, the Birdie Disc Golf Supply Marvel. Now these are not a beaded putter, and in the past I've putted things like P2s, McPro AVR, so I haven't always been a beaded guy. The PA1 I putted as well. The Marvel, kind of a different feeling putter. I don't know what about it, but when you put it in the hand, it doesn't feel bad, but it feels different than just your traditional beaded putter, at least for my fingers. So those are the putters that we're going with right now. More to come on kind of the putter, but those are what we're currently using. Next, the overstable approach discs. A lot of you guys know the Knot Zone, otherwise known as the Prodigy A5. I think this is a Spectrum plastic, sweet little preserved stamp. Got this from my buddy Alex Geisinger this summer. Got it, didn't love it, but when I was throwing the Zone, I just had a week where I started shanking everything. And so I grabbed this and I'm like, I'm going to try this. It's a little bit lower profile, more glide, less stable than a Zone. That's how I would describe it. Quickly became one of my favorite discs. Brings me to the next one, a Zone, a brand new puddle top, absolute beauty, Yuli 2022 Crystal Zone, kind of a beef dog. And the reason that a Zone has been back in my bag lately is that we went out to play Fountain Hills, and there's quite a few like peninsula upshots out at Fountain, and I didn't want to lose this, plain and simple. So I took this out of the bag, and I had a different brand new just Z puddle top Zone, and I was throwing that for my upshots because I didn't really care if I would throw it in the water. And I realized the flight of a Zone and an A5 might be different enough that I could potentially bag both. These go a little bit further, a little more glide, less stable, whereas just a nice stock beefy Zone is kind of nice to have. That being said, I'm also testing a new A5. Haven't even thrown it yet, but it's just a plain old 400 A5. Some of you may not know the flight numbers of an A5 are 34, -11. Very far off from the Zone's flight numbers. I'm actually hoping this is straighter than this one because the not Zone potentially could get kicked out of the bag for a straighter A5 not Zone, because I feel like having a straighter one than what this is and pairing it up with a stable Zone, that might be the lineup we're looking for. So that'll come later on in the year. Maybe we should talk about one more disc that I'm trying out right now that kind of falls into the overstable approach disc category, and that is a Gateway Houdini. This is an interesting disc because it's kind of like a harp, I would say, more than like a Zone. It's just your overstable approach disc, but it's got this weird like double bead. And so when I first got this disc, I was interested because I felt it, and it actually, although looks nothing like a PA3 on the side, when you hold it in your hand, it feels similar to a PA3, kind of low profile, beaded, nice and like flat putter. And I thought this might be a better backhand style overstable approach disc than a Zone, because a lot of times a beaded putter is kind of what I like for shorter putter upshots. So we have this Brett Stetson signature. I think this is a glow Houdini, kind of in a baseline plastic. We got this prototype Houdini, which is a little bit domier, and I feel like it's a little straighter. And then we have this nylon, kind of like a premium plastic Houdini. So I've been testing these out actually a decent amount. You might have seen me throw them in some of my recent videos. So this is one that we're not totally set on yet, but it could potentially make the bag for that backhand overstable hit and stick. But also, maybe I don't need the overlap. I could just throw a Zone. We'll see. Let's get into the mid-ranges. As some, or hopefully all of you know by now, I'm a big Buzz SS guy. This Buzz SS you've probably seen me throwing over the last few months, and pretty much this is the backup to this guy. So this is my go-to Buzz SS, which is usually in the bag. But the only reason this one isn't is simply because I want to start beating this one in to fly a little more similar to this. This is kind of right in the sweet spot, and we kind of want to keep it there. So we're trying to get another one, nice flat Buzz SS. If you didn't know, flat Buzz SS is a little bit flippier than the domey ones. The domey ones honestly fly probably more similar to just a Buzz. So that's kind of my Buzz SS lineup right now. I'll usually bag one of them. If I'm in like a wooded area, maybe I'll bag two because you need a little more variation in the flight of your discs. I guess I can put that back in here. Next, the Buzz. Yeah, I've never, or not never, I haven't been bagging a Buzz, can't speak English. I haven't been bagging a Buzz for quite some time. I found this one in the used bin at Spinners on the Green. Nice older Z-Buzz, flat. To be honest, flies almost identical to this Buzz SS right now. So we're potentially gonna try and find a little bit more stable Buzz. This one definitely has just a slightly more finish at the end, but I kind of think even a little more stability out of a Buzz might be nice. The thing is, I'm a little picky because I want super flat ones because I also want to be able to throw them sidearm, and domey Buzzes feel like shit in my opinion. So that's kind of a disc that has been in the bag for the last few weeks, and I think will a buzz variation I think will be in the bag going into next year. Up next is like my favorite mid-range sleeper pick out of absolutely nowhere, the MVP Matrix. I found this disc back in Utah, if you saw that video, and I made a video about it. At first, I wasn't sure because I was expecting it to be flippier. I wanted it to kind of be this buzz, like the forehand buzz, because these feel super nice and flat. A lot of MVP's mid ranges are very forehand friendly because they are so flat. And the Matrix, I'd say, falls into a stable buzz stability category. I guess I say that because that's most people know what stability category that is, but it feels so good on a forehand. So this is a disc I've really been like working with lately, kind of just that, you know, you can hit it on some flex lines, it's gonna fade out, not too beefy, which brings me to my next one, which is no surprise, is the Birdie Disc Golf Supply Color Glow Ultra. I got a white one here that I have been bagging for quite a while. You might have seen me throwing a blue one lately, pretty much a twin to this, same exact disc. I'm just trying to kind of work two in at the same time so that if I were to launch one in the water, I have another one that's slightly beat in. And I would say the Matrix falls between the Ultra and like the Buzz SS slot. That's kind of my mid-range lineup. Now for the fairway drivers. This one, the FD1, we'll kick it off with that, is kind of just your overstable, overstable, consistent driver. Casey White, my boy, actually gave me this one the day before they released. He swung through Nashville when I was living there earlier in the year. Gave me one of these, and it quickly became one of my favorite discs. I think it flies just like that stock overstable Eagle, but way flatter than the modern day Eagles. So it's hard to get your hands on those older Eagles that are like the good ones. And a stock C-Line FD1 honestly kind of fills that slot, and they're just readily available. So this one's been in the bag for a while, and then we do have we actually have two brand new C-Lines. Shout out to Discmania for sending me some of them. So we got some replacements for this one, but this one still has enough stability to fill that slot, so we're throwing that one. The flippier, slightly flippier than the FD1, I kind of have a collection of Eagles. A lot of you have probably seen that yellow Eagle L that I throw. I just recently switched it out for this PFN Star Eagle because they're pretty much identical flights. I just kind of, with my Eagles, I have like 4 or 5 like really money Eagles. I just kind of rotate through them. You know, when one's maybe not flying good, I probably just suck. But I'll just throw another one in the bag. They all kind of do the same thing, and the red one just happens to be the one that I'm throwing right now. The Eagle, probably one of my all-time favorite discs. Next in the fairway lineup, we finally got our hands on a Frisbee Club Torque. I've been kind of messing with the Torque for a while. I had this white one that I really liked, and then I obliterated a first available tree with it, and literally the wing like bent in half. And so we kind of had to trash that one. And then I finally got this one from Marcus. Shout out to Marcus, co-owner of Finish Line. And he hooked me up with one of these, the Frisbee Club. And I've actually been really enjoying this. It's kind of like a step up from the FD1. So one of the reasons why this disc in previous years, maybe I wouldn't have been such a big fan of, but lately I've been trying to work a lot on my left to right flex lines. And these two discs, I think, work so well for that. And this just a little more stable than the FD1, you know, just consistently like beefy fairway driver. I call it a backhander's Firebird because it's a little bit domier and it still has the consistent stability as a Firebird, but for some reason domey discs in my mind get thrown backhand and flat ones get thrown forehand. Maybe I'm just OCD about shit. Up next in like the 10-speed category, the Era. So this is a disc that actually like kind of caught me by surprise. I'm on Team Finish Line, but I wasn't throwing these for a while because I'm a big Thunderbird guy and I'm also a Tesla guy. And those discs kind of all fall into a similar category. But I got this white Era with this sweet little like random kind of die on it. I got this out of the used bin at the Infinite Discs shop in Ogden. It was like $3. Bought it, threw it, and I was like, oh, I've been sleeping on this disc. These things go like the same distance as my distance drivers, but just on a piss missile laser beam rope. So really been liking that one. And then because I've liked this, the forged era, a little bit straighter, still a nice finish. I figured I would just try a composite era for just a little more beef, kind of like that consistent beefy Thunderbird style disc. And obviously these are readily available. So I just tried this one out, and it's been in the bag basically since I've been in Arizona, because I just stole this one from Drew, and I've actually been really liking this one as well. So these have been in the bag for about the last month. Not to say that the MVP Tesla, which I think is like my favorite forehand 9-10 speed slot disc, it kind of just depends on the day. The Tesla kind of comes in and out just depending on how I'm feeling. And then the Pro Thunderbird. This is a disc that is a little bit beat in. It's kind of money. The only reason that it's probably not in the bag right now is because there is no trees to speak of. And this is kind of a hyzer flip up and like kind of carved lines style forehand disc for me. And right now, plain and simple, I just don't need that. So I kind of just put it on the back burner. Whereas if I was in Minnesota, North Carolina playing wooded golf, this would definitely be in the bag. But for now, we're kind of just rocking with the eras. Brings us to our next kind of 10 speed. Champion Sidewinder. You guys have seen this one. It's the Sidewinder. Shout out C-Dub. Old PFN Champ Sidewinder, the ugliest color on earth, easiest to lose, but I threw it one time and I was like, man, this is my favorite disc ever. Got this one out of Albatross Discs, used bin back in Missoula, Montana. Fell in love with it ever since. I do have a couple other Sidewinders that I've been trying out, but to be honest, they don't fly like this one. So it's kind of one of those discs that like I love, and if I don't find a replacement for, if I like were to lose this one, and then I don't know, probably wouldn't bag a Sidewinder anymore if we're being honest. The slot that is between the Sidewinder and kind of the era, we're trying out the Gateway Spear. This is a disc that also caught me by surprise. I talked about this a little bit in a past video, I think, 9.6 -2.1. Very similar to the CD2 or the current CD1. I don't know. It's that 9-speed that I say falls right between like the Thunderbird and like the Sidewinder. Kind of like that's the Dynasty. I was throwing one of them as well. Launched it into some water while I was in Utah. So the Gateway Spear, we've been messing around with that. Might make the bag for that in-between slot. But once again, it's kind of a disc where if I was in the woods, I think it would be in the bag right now. But because I'm in Heiserville, USA, I just don't really need it. But we've been trying it out. I guess FD1, couple more Eagles, whatever. The Firebird. This is my yellow Firebird. It's a PFN. My buddy Jamez Marvin gave it to me. It is my favorite disc. It's probably the only disc that I would like. I'd be extremely sad if I were to lose this thing, because it's just some guy beat this in for like 20 years, and then I got it, and it's the best Firebird ever. Kind of one of those discs where if I lose it, I feel like I might, like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do if I lost this, because it's so beat in. Kind of flies like a Thunderbird, but then at the end just bites a little bit harder. And I don't get to throw it much right now or lately because there's just not like holes where I throw this, but it is just the best disc. The PFN Star Firebirds. If anyone has beat to shit PFN Star Firebirds out there, let me know. I will take them off your hands. It's like my favorite disc ever. And then the distance drivers. We'll start with this one. Brand new distance driver. This is the Reach from Birdie Disc Golf Supply 12.5 -1.2. This is actually a retooled version. You might have seen a video of me talking about the Color Glow. I think they're Color Glow. I know they're Glow Reach, and they were kind of beefcakes. And then they went back to the drawing board a little bit. This is like a swirly S-line style blend. Kind of a bomber. You might have seen me throw it in some videos. I haven't really talked about it yet. Kind of more to come on this disc because this has been nice. And then that brings me to kind of my distance driver slot. The Star Wraith. You guys have seen this one. Mainly a forehand flip up guy. Doesn't get a lot of love right now. Once again, Heiserville, USA. But in the woods, this thing absolutely carves lines. It, to be honest, might be my most consistent distance backhand disc as well for just like laser beams. But it's definitely a forehand workhorse. I've had this disc since at least 2011. I have an Ace from Christmas Day 2011 on this thing. It's been through the ringer. It's a 12-speed Wraith. That's how you know it's old. And then my like distance drivers, PFN Star Destroyer. Yes, I'm an old Innova snob. No, I won't pay the prices for it. I just have great friends, and I've been lucky enough to get tons of good Innova discs for the low cost of $3.99. Mainly shout out to my boy James Marvin. But PFN Star Destroyer, this is kind of like my all-out bomber. This thing's like flip up, just smack. Goes really far, and by really far I mean like 250 full flight right now. And then the Millennium Scorpius is kind of like the step up in stability. Mainly a forehand workhorse because I like just a little more stability on like power forehands. I have two of these that are exactly identical, same exact run, kind of same wear and tear as well. I kind of flip-flop them out just to keep them, you know, similar, I guess. And the Scorpius, if you get like older runs of Scorpiuses, those are absolute money. Couple distance drivers that I've kind of been trying out here. The Finish Line Daytona, you guys probably know these just came out not too long ago. This is actually a 168. The max weight Daytonas, kind of beefcakes, which is what they're supposed to be, but for my current noodle arm, I just don't get much out of them. The 168, on the other hand, almost flies like similar to this flight, but just like brand new because it's a little bit lighter weight. So this thing's kind of a bomber. We've been working with it a little bit. Haven't been throwing a ton of distance shots lately. And so that's why it's kind of still just like in tryout mode. And then the Gateway Journey. Closest thing I've found to like this Wraith, but out of the box, is the Gateway Journey. I think it's an 11.5 speed. And it's kind of like that Heiser flip up king. If you're one of those players who doesn't have like super crazy arm speed, like destroyers are just beefcakes for you, this might be something you're looking for. Now that I'm getting a little bit older and I got kind of a noodle arm, these types of discs, the beat up Wraith style discs, are kind of like my cup of tea. So those are just a couple more that I've been trying out. I guess I just realized I forgot my throwing putters. The JJP2, this thing comes and goes simply because it's like kind of one of those discs where in the woods it's the best disc ever, but in like Heiserville, USA, do I need to throw the Heiser flip up to flat slight turn? Not really. So it doesn't really come like out at all in Arizona because why would you? You can just throw a Heiser. But when we're talking like real disc golf in the woods, this is probably one of my most used discs. It's a super beat up P2. I don't remember if I said that, but that thing is money. And then the Finish Line Pace, kind of an S-Line P2 style disc. The reason I say that is because that's kind of what I grew up throwing for, like that straight to just consistent overstable deep dish style putter. And then, you know, these Finish Line Paces, don't get the puddle top ones unless you want like a little bit straighter one. But if you're looking for like a nice beefy one, just the good normal putter dome on them. These things are sweet. Think different, make history. Love this stamp. One of my favorites. They complement each other. Absolutely amazing. As you guys know, we got the Squatch lore bag here. You can use code Broderick to save yourself $20 on any non-signature Squatch disc golf bag. They just released a couple more colorways in the Legend. This same colorway, and then I think they released a blue, which the blue is pretty sweet. So support me and go get yourself a Squatch. Got the Frisbee Club patches on the side, obviously. Birdie Disc Golf Supply patches as well. We got the vintage Nike golf towel, which may be getting switched out here soon. We got something cool in the works for you guys. That's pretty much gonna do it. That's my current in the bag. Let me guys know if there's any discs you think I should try out. Don't even bother commenting any Trilogy discs. Any other companies I'm relatively open to. But that's kind of what we're working with. That's pretty much my bag. And we got some new stuff we're trying out. We got some backups. All sorts of Frisbees, guys. We got too damn many. I'm actually going to go organize my Frisbees right after this because we got hundreds of them laying around. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this simple little in the bag. We'll see you in the next one. Nice.
That's 500 feet. I'm pro. That's about 400 feet right there, guys. Let me show you another driving technique.